Hi boys and girls, here's lesson 9 of module 6. This is our last lesson on graphing, and so it puts together the different types of graphs and data that we've been using into one big chunk. So, are you ready? It's kind of a long one, so if we get to part 2, be on the lookout. Number 1 says the chart shows the number of apples picked by 4 children. So you can see the 4 children's names and you can see the numbers. But notice Roxanne doesn't have any apples picked. So we have to figure out how many apples she picked. We are given the total, so that means all these 4 numbers have to add up to 72. And they won't because we're missing Roxanne. So let's figure out how many we have so far. If I look at the 20 and the 12, these two together are 32. 32 plus 16 is, alright, so I'm going to take 32, I'm going to add the 10, that gets me to 42. 42 plus 6 is 48. So to figure out Roxanne, I need to do 72, the total, minus however many the other 3 kids picked. So here we go. Can't subtract 2 minus 8, so I'm going to unbundle. 6 tens left. I'm going to add 10 to the 2. That gives me 12. 12 minus 8 is 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. So Roxanne picked 24 apples. I'm going to fill it in my chart. So now my chart is done. That's step A. Step B says to create a picture graph using the data in the table. So here we go. We've got a title, apples picked. On this side is going to be the number of apples picked, and on the bottom is going to be each child's name. So I'm going to fill in each child's name. I've got S for Stuart, R for Roxanne, T for Trisha, and P for Philip. Okay, and I need to make a picture graph. So, what picture might be good for apples? Well, drawing an apple might be a little bit hard, but we could draw a circle, and that can represent how many apples. So let's think about it. Do we want to draw 16 or 24 circles? No, that's too many. What if we made each circle worth 2 apples? How many would we have to draw for Stuart? 16. 2 for each would give me 8 circles. It's still kind of a lot. What if we doubled the 2 and went for 4? Would that work? Let's see. 4. We'd have to skip count by 4s and see if we can kind of land on these or make it easy to make a half a circle. So 4, 8, 12, 16. And if I keep going, I get to 20 and 24. That's these. And 12. So 4 would be really good. That'll keep us with very few circles. So each circle is going to stand for 4. So here's 4 apples, 8 apples, 12 apples, 16 apples. Roxanne, so she had more than that, so I'm going to try to draw 4 similar sized circles. That's 16 again, and then 20, 24. Trish only picked 12, so that's 3 circles. I'm going to have to make that line up my 3rd circle across. And Philip, if I count by 4, I have to count 5 times to get to Philip. So I'm thinking in my head, 4 times what is 20 to come up with the number of circles. So here's at least 3, 4, and 5. Okay? So that completes our picture graph for the apple picking. If we go to the next page, we have to answer some questions about the graph or the chart. So let's figure out where the best place to go would be. How many more apples did Stuart and Roxanne pick than Philip and Trisha? Okay, here we go again. So one way to do that would be to add up how many Stuart and Roxanne picked, combine them, and Philip and Trisha, combine those, and then find the difference. So we could do that. So Stuart picked 16, Roxanne picked 24, Philip picked 20, and Trisha picked 12. Okay, so if I had 20 and 12, those two picked 32, and 16 and 24 I'm going to put up here, equals, let's see, 24, 34, 40. So 40 minus 32 equals 8. 8 more apples. Another way to think about it would be to look at the graph and figure out, well, how many more circles did Stuart and Roxanne have compared to the other two? So here's Stuart and Roxanne. Here's Trisha and Philip. Well, they had 5, 6, 7, 8 total, and these two had 6, 7, 8. They had 2 extra, and if each one is worth 4, this would be 4, 8. That's a different way to get to the 8. Okay? And letter B, Trisha and Stuart combine their apples to make apple pies. Each pie takes 7 apples. How many pies can they make? All right, well, this is just a division problem. It's the total number of apples divided by 7 in each pie gives us X amount of pies. Okay, or you can just skip counting. 7, 14, do a count by. 21, 28, and so on. Either way, we'll just keep going. 7, 14, 21, 28, then comes 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70. Well, if they pick 72 apples, do I have enough if I only have 2 left to make another pie? No, so I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pies with 2 left over. Okay. Oh, here's what I did wrong. Never mind, it's not 72. It's just Trisha and Stuart's. Okay, so I've got to look at these two. 16 plus 12, that's 28 divided by 7. So if I get my eraser out, never mind. Okay. $28 divided by 7, well, here we go, right here. How many pies is that? 4 pies. Sorry about that. I got excited. Didn't read the whole question. See, it happens to adults too. All right. The last questions involve a line plot. Okay. So we're going to use this data right here. Miss Pacho's science class measured the lengths of blades of grass from their school field to the nearest 1/4 inch. The lengths are shown below. So here's all their lengths of grass. Over here it says to make a line plot. Include a title, scale, and legend. So there's lots of things we need to do. Our line plot's going to start with a line, right? We need to look at this data to see where our line plot should start and end. We don't have to start at 0. We can start at a number that's close to our lowest number. So if you look at the data, I'm seeing 2s. 2 looks like it's the lowest. Everything else is 2 and a fraction more, or 3, but I don't see any 4s. So I'm going to go start this at 2. I'm going to end it at 4. So 3 is in between. So this is going to be 2.5. This is 3.5. And then we've got our quarters in between. Okay, this is 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 3 1/4, 3 3/4. And if you need to pause it to finish writing yours in, go ahead and do that. Now we need a title. Well, I always go back to the chart and I look at what it's labeled there. Lengths of blades of grass in inches. All right, well, we're going to label that lengths of blades of grass. I'm not going to put inches in there because I'm going to label my scale down here as inches. Okay? So I have a title, a scale, and a legend. The legend is what x equals. I'm going to put that over here. X is equal to what? What are we measuring? Well, we're measuring blades of grass, so it's 1 blade of grass. Okay? All right, now I'm going to go back and make all my X's. So I'm going to put this on pause while you work on making your X's, and you can check your work with mine. Okay, and remember, this is an array, so we can count the rows 4, count the columns 6. 4 times 6 gives us our total number of blades of grass, or X's, we need to make here. So I'm going to go back and count 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. At least I know I have the right number of X's. Okay, that's a common mistake third graders make, is that they don't put all the X's on there. That's why I was crossing them off as I went. But they also sometimes put them in the wrong spot. So this strategy won't make sure that you have it in the right spot, but it'll at least help you make sure you've got everything on there that should be. Okay? All right, so now we just have to answer some questions. How many blades of grass were measured? Well, we just talked about that. There are 24. And how did we know? We counted the X's. What was the length measured most frequently on the line plot? Remember, most frequently means most often, which equals most X's. Okay, so what was most frequent? Well, if you can see on mine, it's 2 3/4 because it has 6 X's. I had to even go up into my title to fit that. So they're asking for the length, not the number of blades. So I'm going to put 2 3/4 inches. The next question, though, asks how many blades of grass had that length, and that should be the 6 X's. Okay, so you have to make sure you're answering the question they give. Finally, how many more blades of grass measure 2 3/4 inches than both 3 3/4 inches and 2 inches combined? All right, well, let's figure out how many we have. At 2 3/4, we just said we had 6. 3 3/4 is 3, and 2 inches is 1. So I'm combining these two to get 4. So how many are here compared to here? Well, 6 minus 4 gives us 2. So the answer is 2 blades of grass. All right, so this is our last lesson. We have a test tomorrow. Make sure you know how to do all these types of problems because you will have to do this on the test. So get started on your homework. See you later.